So in today's video, we are going to talk about the top Canadian immigration pathways in 2025 and decide on which one is right for you. Because one question that I get a lot of people reaching out to ask is, with so many pathways that exist when it comes to Canadian immigration, which one is right for me? And my advice to most people is, the only person to know which one that fits you will be you. And the best way to know is by knowing which ones exist. So in today's video, we'll be talking about some of the pathways for you to decide which one at least will be the best fit for you based on your own situation. One thing is, Canada is known for welcoming immigrants from around the world, and there exists a lot of pathways that you can use to come in. Some of them you only need to be in a particular province to even hear about them, and sometimes you need to speak to an licensed immigration consultant to know about some of these pathways. So in this video, we'll try and look at some of the pathways. That way you can decide which one is best fit for your case. The first one that we'll look at is the express entry system. Express entry is one of the fastest ways for skilled workers to apply for permanent residency in Canada. Express entry, which is normally known as EE, uses a points-based system that invites applicants in a competitive pool of applicants who possess the highest comprehensive ranking system score, that's the CRS score, to apply for PR. And I'll do a video about the CRS score and express entry in general. So I'll link it up here. If you're interested, you can click on that one and learn about the express entry system. The express entry has three main federal economic programs. That is the Federal Skilled Worker Program, which includes individuals who have work experience outside Canada in jobs that are in high demand in the Canadian labor market. Then secondly, there's the Federal Skilled Trades Program. That's professionals with experience in occupations such as carpentry, electrician, plumbers may also be able to use this stream to apply for permanent residency. In most cases, what people will try to use to explain is that the Federal Skilled Worker Program is like for white-collar people who like to sit in offices, and the Federal Skilled Trades Program is for people who like to work with their hands. So if you are somebody who likes to work in the trades, like I said, being it a plumber, masonry, butcher, electrician, then you might be able to fit into the Federal Trades Program. Then the third program under the express entry system is the Canadian Experience Class, and this is for individuals who are already working in Canada with at least 1 year of experience in a skilled occupation. Those people can apply for this particular express entry stream. So if you are somebody who has been in Canada for a year and has been working in a skilled occupation, then you might qualify under this particular stream. So sometimes there's been cases where you can have one person who can qualify for all three programs. But most times that can be a rare case, because that person would have been somebody who might be able to work in trades, is highly skilled, and has been in Canada for more than a year. So to qualify for the express entry, you need to pay the required fees, meet the language levels that are set, make sure you are meeting the education and the work experience requirement, and prove that you have the right skills to contribute to the Canadian economy. So if you look at the express entry, it's purely based on points, which means that for whichever category that they are drawing, the people with the highest points end up getting drawn. And when there is a draw and two people have the same points, they will use who submitted his or her application first as the tiebreaker. That's why we always said, as much as possible, if you are interested, make sure you are submitting your application as early as possible. And whilst you are in the pool, you can be continually updating your profile with any changes that happen until the point where you are drawn and you are issued an ITA to apply for permanent residency. So unlike the US system where it's purely based on lottery, where it's very random, with the Canadian express entry, it's purely based on points, which means as a candidate, you can actually be able to work on how you score your points as much as possible and improve your chances of getting drawn instead of being in the pool and waiting to be drawn randomly. The second program that we'll talk about is the Provincial Nominee Program. That's PNP. The good thing about the Canadian immigration system is Express Entry basically focus on like federal, covering the whole country, bringing people to meet the needs of the country. But individual provinces can also have their own nominee program where they can nominate people to come into their province to satisfy their needs accordingly. So that's why they have the Provincial Nominee Program, which will allow individual provinces and territories to nominate individuals that they think can come in and make a difference in their community for permanent residency based on their labor market needs. So if you have skills and experiences that a particular province is looking for, you have an advantage of receiving an ITA to live and work in that particular province. That's why I always advise that even when it comes to moving into a province to go and study, make sure you are being strategic, because there are some provinces where when you move to, you know there is a higher chance of you getting provincial nominee based on the fact that you studied in that province. And sometimes if you are moved from another province to that province, they will punish you accordingly because they want to give advantage to people who have studied and worked in their provinces first. And with this particular one, each province sets their own eligibility requirements, and they use different points system to determine who can apply or receive an invitation for them. And the good news about the PNP is if a province nominates you and you decide to enter the express entry pool, you will get an automatic 600 points, which means you are almost guaranteed that the next time there is a draw, you are going to be invited to apply for permanent residency. And points are typically based on a combination of age, work experience, education, language, and connection to that particular province. And when it comes to connection, they will either look whether you have relatives in that province, have you studied in that province, how long have you been in that province. All those things are things that they will check to make sure that you are somebody when you come into that province, you will plan to stay, and not that you are moving to that province just to get PR and run away. So if you are somebody interested in moving into Canada in 2025, PNP might be another category that you want to pay attention to. The third one that we'll talk about today is the Family Class Sponsorship. The Family Class Sponsorship Program is designed to reunite families. One thing that the Canadian government prioritizes most is families. They try as much as possible not to separate families. So if you are a Canadian citizen or permanent resident, you can sponsor your spouse, child, parent, or another close family member who currently lives abroad to come to Canada. So if you have plans of moving to Canada and you have family members in Canada, you might be able to take advantage of this one to see whether you can move to Canada in 2025. Or if you're already in Canada and you have family members outside Canada who fall into any of these categories, you might be able to take advantage of it and bring them into the country. So if you are not taking advantage of that one, this is the time for you to do your research and see whether you are eligible to bring those people in. Number 4 is the Startup Visa Program. The Startup Visa Program is a program available to entrepreneurs who want to start a business in Canada. So if you have an innovative business idea that will contribute to the Canadian economy and create employment opportunities in Canada for Canadian residents, you may be eligible to apply for permanent residency through this immigration pathway. It's one of the programs that were introduced recently. So if you are an entrepreneur or somebody who is an investor, you can look to this particular pathway as a way to immigrate and move to Canada. We've seen a lot of people use it as a pathway to move to Canada, especially for people who are entrepreneurs and have a will to either build a business or buy into a business. They use this particular one to move into Canada. So if it's something that interests you, this might be the time for you to do your research and investigate the Startup Visa Program, which is popularly known as the SUV program, because it might be your pathway to Canada. And in 2025, there are some new immigration pathways that are coming up. Immigration and Citizenship Canada, that's IRCC, has recently announced that there will be new immigration pathways in 2025 to help meet Canada's labor market demands. So if you are not aware of any of these particular pathways, it's time for you to start researching and looking into them to see whether you are eligible to take advantage of it. The first one is the Enhanced Caregiver Pilot Programs. In addition to Canada's existing Caregiver program, this new immigration pathway aims to attract more caregivers to meet Canada's growing demand. And with this particular one, successful applicants such as home child care workers and home support workers will receive permanent residency upon arrival, making it an easier route to residency in Canada. So if you are somebody who falls into any of these job categories, this might be the time to start researching this particular pathway. And the second one that they came up with is the Rural Community Immigration Pilot. The Rural Community Immigration Pilot pathway to permanent residency targets professionals willing to live in smaller rural communities across Canada. If you are somebody who has traveled across Canada, you realize that a lot of people are camped in the small area of the country. So there are so many rural communities out there, and most people don't want to go and live in these communities. So the goal of this particular pilot is to attract people to move into some of these rural areas to help meet their labor needs accordingly. If you are getting a chance to come to Canada, why will you worry about where you are going to land? Because at some point you'll be able to move to any particular part that you want to move to. And the truth is, if you land in some of these rural communities, you might not want to leave because the peace of mind and the benefits that you enjoy sometimes will keep you there. And most of these communities have a high demand for skilled workers to fill their labor shortages in those areas. So if you are interested in coming to Canada in 2025, the Rural Community Immigration Pilot is something that you might also want to research into and see whether you can take advantage of it, because it might be your golden ticket to come into the country in 2025. The third one that they dropped on us was the Francophone Community Immigration Pilot. And you can see that in 2025, there are a lot of pilots that are coming up because they are trying as much as possible to mop up all the high-skilled people that they might have in the country. This particular immigration pathway aims to attract French-speaking professionals to work in smaller communities outside of Quebec. Because the truth is, when you go to Quebec, there are a lot of French speakers there. But Canada is a bilingual country. So how can they get people who are French speakers to be able to also live in some of these communities outside Quebec? Francophone Community Immigration Pilot possibly might be the answer for them. And this will also help to strengthen the Canadian economy and increase the Francophone communities across Canada. That way, French does not actually fade out, and they can still be able to get people speaking French and maintain that bilingual status as a country. So for French speakers abroad, my advice is this is a great immigration pathway for you to settle in Canada. If you are somebody who can speak French, this might be the year for you. So don't sit on your bum, take action, because you never know. That might be the golden tickets that you can land in 2025. And also come and join us in this Maple Land. And the fourth one, I can never talk about immigration without talking about my favorite province, Manitoba. The fourth one is the Manitoba's West Central Immigration Initiative Pilot. Manitoba will always come through for you when it comes to immigration. If nobody wants to come to Canada, Manitoba will always make sure that there's a pathway for you to enter the country. The Manitoba's West Central Immigration Initiative Pilot Program initiative is to attract skilled workers who are willing to live and work in Manitoba's West Central region in an effort to meet the labor market demands in that particular area. As much as people are moving to Manitoba, people are not moving to this particular area. So the goal of this particular pilot is to attract people to move to this Manitoba West Central area. Potential candidates may be invited to apply for permanent residency and settle in Manitoba. And the truth is, Manitoba is very big. So if you are coming here, you know that wherever you are going to land is going to be a very good place. And if you are somebody who is interested in moving to Canada and you find yourself in Manitoba already, this is an initiative that possibly you might want to look into and see whether you can take advantage of it. And if you're already outside the country, possibly you can also research and see how best you can take advantage of this particular pathway and see whether you can join us in Manitoba, Winnipeg in particular, where the temperatures sometimes can get as low as -35 and water freezes at 0. So that should tell you how cold it is. The truth is, Canada offers a wide range of pathways, each designed to meet different needs. Whether you are a skilled worker, entrepreneur, caregiver, or someone looking to reunite with family, there is always a program that will fit your own circumstance. My always advice is, if you cannot do the research yourself, you can speak to an immigration consultant. There are a lot of them out there, but make sure you do your research and know which ones that you can work with. Don't go and hire an engineer to come and do the job a carpenter can do for you. Make sure you are getting the right person for the right job. And if you find the right person who can get a job done for you, trust me, it might be able to help you to cut through all those immigration stuff and find the right pathway that works for you. There's so many of them out there, and these are a few of them that I thought I should share with you today so that you can see this as a signpost to go and do your own research and inform yourself and see how best you can take advantage of the one that aligns with you. If you got value out of this video, kindly hit the like button and hit the subscribe button and join this family so that we can all learn together. As I'm talking now, there are 16,000 of us. Try as much as possible to share with family members who might also get value out of this video so that we can all learn and grow together. And as usual, I'm not an immigration consultant, neither am I an immigration lawyer. Everything that I'm sharing here is just education for you to go and do your own research. Until the next video, cheers.